Hello, good morning everyone. We're here, it's Monday morning. In fact, we seem a bit far away, Sertan. Yeah, that's it. This is me, I'm Laurel, and this is Sertan. Sertan is an SEO specialist amongst other things. And I just feel like I'm on the end of the video camera thing. I know how difficult SEO is, and there's so much conflicting advice, and it's very difficult to always find out the facts. Because there are no official guidelines with SEO, a lot of people can say a lot of things, right, Sertan?
There are a lot of sort of misleading information out there.
So we thought it would be a good idea to have an SEO chat, and you're more than welcome to ask any of your questions while I work out a way to actually get my head in the screen. Do I need to move that way? Oh, I need to move that way. Okay, that's better. Now I feel I'm in the world. So if you've got any questions, please just type them in the comments. Oh, someone's popped up. Oh, hello, Charlie. Say hello if you're joining us. And Sertan, first of all, I'm going to ask you just to give us a brief description of what SEO actually is.
Well, I think that's a very good question to start off with, Laurel. A lot of people think that SEO is solely where you rank on Google. It actually couldn't be further from the truth. Actual SEO is the entire journey. So it's what happens before the click in terms of what people are searching for. It's what happens once you do click any result, and it doesn't just have to be Google, which is what usually people associate SEO with. It can be on any platform, in any search engine, but also what happens after the click. So all the post-click activity as well. So once someone comes to your website, your Facebook page, or whichever other platform that you've linked to, what is the user's journey on there? As long as you're able to fulfill both your goal as a business and the goal of the user, your customer or your client, then that's good SEO. A lot of people kind of leave it at the click, but that's where a lot of marketing actually goes wrong. You do need to consider what happens after the click as well. But good SEO is coming up for the right terms. Anyone can rank for a term in Google, but unless you're ranking for the right terms, and that includes what usually is to do with intent. So you need to get the intent right of a particular search, and it has to be in line with your business goals as well. As long as you get the intent right, then that's a good quality click. And that's really what you should be going after.
So when you say intent, you mean the keyword search that Google is going to pick up to find your website?
Well, intent is what the user is looking to do. So the reason why they're searching. So probably the easiest example is the difference between someone who's researching a particular topic and someone who's got their credit card out ready to buy. So you may be researching.
We like those people.
Oh, absolutely. So you may be researching as a customer, maybe a new washing machine or a tumble dryer or a microwave, but you're not really ready to buy yet. So you may be looking at sizes, different makes, features, but you don't have your card out ready as yet. So intent for me, I would rather we go after those which are intending to buy at that stage. So we look at certain keywords such as buy a tumble dryer, or cheapest or best value, maybe a tumble dryer with free delivery, for example. So those types of terms are a lot better than someone looking for specific maybe features or certain types of features on there. So that's the main difference between intent. It becomes a lot more important if you're paying for advertising as well. So you want to go after and pay for the right terms. That's more for maybe Facebook and Google Ads possibly, but it also comes into consideration when you're thinking about SEO as well.
It is all a minefield, isn't it?
It can be. It's important to plan it right. It's important to do your research as well. Because SEO is a bit of a slow burner. No one's going to get results tomorrow. You do need to plan it out properly, and you do need to consider what you're going after and putting time and effort into. You don't want to put time and effort into a particular type of SEO or some specific search terms, maybe push all your content out, get your website ready, and then find out 3 months later that it was actually the wrong term to work on. So pre-planning and research is quite crucial for SEO.
So SEO works in the same way as pay-per-click, as in it's an auction in terms of the popularity of the keyword that reflects your business.
No.
Okay.
So it doesn't work the same as, say, Google AdWords does, and it's not an auction at all. Google and other search engines, but Google being the largest, we tend to kind of give them all the credit. It will look at how best this particular search result is able to answer a particular query. So it doesn't just look at the content anymore. It also looks at the experience on the website. So when I refer to post-click activity and experience initially, this is what I meant. So it's whether a particular click is able to fulfill the user's desire in terms of what they were searching for. So it will look at landing page experience or destination experience. And if it doesn't feel that the experience is quite right, or the content's not quite there, or if there's better content, then that's how you would rank higher. So it's not just the keyword you need to be looking at. You do need to consider the content on the destination page as well. As long as that marries up with the initial search, then you can create a good experience for your customer, client, or whoever it is you're looking to attract.
So as this is kind of sort of beginners to intermediate SEO, when you say it looks at user experience on the landing page or the home page or whatever, what exactly do you mean by that?
Well, there's a lot of different factors, and only Google really know exactly what they're looking at. However, a lot of the research out there, and as well as our own tests, we do know that if someone has clicked through and they've immediately bounced off within, say, 30 seconds because the content wasn't really appropriate for their type of search, that type of result will get pushed down in the search results.
So then we go into why Google Analytics is so important, because it gives you your bounce rates, and the customer experience on your site and which pages they stay on pages.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I'm a bit of a data geek, so I do use Google Analytics and other analytics packages quite religiously. Google Analytics does tell you a very good story. It tells you whether the type of traffic you're getting is good quality. It tells you what users are doing on your page, but also their journey across your site as well. So what tends to happen, especially with SEO type traffic in comparison to maybe paid traffic, is that someone will land on a page and there's a lot of leakage. So there's a lot of menu items, a lot of areas to maybe navigate. The actual journey hasn't been well thought through. So as long as all the information that a user needs is on that page and they're able to fulfill what it is they set out to do, then that's a good experience. But if they take a quick look, even if the information is there, but it could be buried at the bottom of the page, there could be a big video that won't load, it could be a lot of scripts in the background or plugins in some cases which slow down the site. If that experience is in any way negative, Google will pick up on that. And it knows if someone has clicked the back button or exited a site, and it measures all this in terms of trying to figure out which site should appear higher or lower than another.
So these are all factors that help us get to the first Google.
Yes, well, it's some of the factors. So we need to look at the keywords which is generating the traffic. We destination experience for a particular user. But one thing that hasn't changed much in the world over however many years is the value of a backlink. So a lot of, you can buy, I don't know, 100,000 backlinks for £5–10. Don't do that. You can ruin your positions on Google by doing that nowadays.
They know you're doing it.
Absolutely, they know where that you're buying links, and because they measure, and because Google especially looks at the quality of these backlinks. So if there's suddenly 10,000 backlinks which are very low quality, then it does understand that you're trying to game the system, and it will push you down.
Low quality backlinks meaning not relevant to your website?
They can be relevant, but usually a low quality backlink means there's not any valuable content on there. So it's usually links which are designed for the purpose of SEO. These are the links that you do need to stay away from. So ideally, it is very much quality over quantity when it comes to backlinks. You need to get backlinks back from other publishers, other websites, third parties, partners, even customers in some cases, which are relevant to what you do. And it needs to be a good quality backlink in that it has to be very relevant to what you're trying to the message that you're trying to get across.
So just to interrupt for a moment, just to say, if anyone's got any specific SEO questions, you're really welcome to ask. I'm just going to put my glasses on. It's quite hard, isn't it, doing a video when you need to wear glasses? Oh no, okay, so we don't have any comments yet. But I can see there's lots of people watching, so hello and thank you. So it is different, just to be clear about this. So if you're, let's think of a really popular business, a supermarket, you've got the same chance as getting onto page 1 of Google as a more obscure or niche dolls' houses, let's say. Just by having good quality content and good best practice Google behavior on your website. So getting rid of like pages that don't load, error 404 that we've all had, and backlinks that are not high quality, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it is all about the journey. So as long as you satisfy a user's query start to finish, then that's a good experience for the user, and you're more likely to increase your rankings in the Google search results. That's all fine. But in terms of niche, the more niche you are, it's actually a lot easier in terms of SEO. So there'll be less competition, first and foremost. 2, you're more likely to get the lion's share of the traffic because there are less competitors out there and less results. In terms of like a supermarket example that you gave, Laurel, it's highly competitive. So there are other factors which you do need to consider. There's a whole different kind of shopping area that you can call on, and e-commerce SEO is very different from maybe regular SEO. And that being said, it's local SEO would also be very different from maybe general SEO or national SEO as well. So ranking locally is a very different exercise than if you wanted to rank in other areas, or maybe for e-commerce or specific products or services.
So we're going into affiliate links and stuff because that's really good for niche. You can, I know obviously we're quite far down the road with affiliate linking and a lot of it's being done, but if you find a niche, you're much more likely to be successful at it than if you want to go and kind of sell produce, for instance, that everyone can buy easily in a supermarket.
Possibly. I mean, affiliate networks and affiliate links are just another way of gaining more exposure. It gives you an additional outlet through another publisher. It can be a good way to very quickly maybe increase your exposure and get your products and services out to maybe a more targeted market. Affiliate links, by virtue of being affiliates, obviously there's a fee involved, where it could be introductory, it could be based on commission. So the affiliate themselves are usually more inclined to push your services, because at the end of the day, they're also trying to make a buck off that.
Yeah.
SEO does work slightly different. In fact, if Google clocks on that you're trying to make a quick buck out of something, you're less likely to rank higher. Because it's all about experience. It doesn't want there to be any purchase links or any commercial affiliation between 2 different parties which are linking. So it is best practice to kind of stray away from that type of activity. And if it is a purchase link or an affiliate type activity, then just mention it. Say this is a sponsored post or sponsored link, or say we are affiliated in this way.
So Google is saying if you're going to be earning money from this and this is professional, then be transparent.
Absolutely.
We want to see that, and we want you to tell when you advertise that this is, because you do, LinkedIn recently, you've changed their rules, that you do actually have to say this is a, can't think of the actual word now, but transparent or a paid for or sponsored for ad.
That's right. And it's not just LinkedIn. It's actually a law which is more prevalent in the US rather than the UK and the EU. There's a specific law out there which actually forces brands as well as their publishers to publish the actual commercial relationship between parties. So if you think about maybe a blogger who's maybe pushing a specific product for maybe a bigger brand, then they do have to disclose that they're affiliated or connected in that way.
Yeah.
The laws in the US do say that you have to, and if not, then there's actually penalties for that. It's not quite as stringent in the UK or the EU, but it's still considered good practice.
Yeah.
Now, you're not necessarily going to get pushed out of the search engines for not disclosing that. In the US especially, it's not really about that. It's more a legal requirement and as part of the regulations out there, which isn't the case, like I said, in the UK. But it's still good to disclose it, because if you're transparent and Google picks up on it, then it's less likely to penalise you, or it may penalise you less.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a resources page on the directory for, getting discounts for certain platforms, and all of those companies are very keen that you make it public, that it's an affiliate link. So they follow that best practice. So it's kind of reassuring, I think, that you see that, and because if you are aware of that happening, and then you go to an affiliate link and it doesn't say that, it kind of looks dodgy, doesn't it?
It does, and I think the key word here is dodgy. I mean, for a lot of users, people look at it and think, well, I can see that there's a commercial relationship.
Yeah.
Why don't you just say so?
Yeah.
And actually, that's off-putting. Whereas if you disclose it from the beginning and said, you know what, we're sponsoring this product, we think it's great, but we are sponsoring it in this way.
And also, as a user, let's say me, and you're the company, the fact you are transparent, I'm going to trust you more, and I'm going to think, well, okay, you've brought me to this resource, it's great, I actually want to give you that commission or that affiliate link, referral fee or whatever, as opposed to someone that hasn't been transparent.
No, absolutely, and it is all about being clear and transparent. People are a lot more clued up these days, and they do look for these indicators, and for reasons why. Especially around endorsements, people are a lot more aware.
That was the word, thank you, endorsements, thank you.
People are very much aware and looking out for that now as well. So I think in general, it may just be the day and age we're in, but people are a lot more suspicious of what's going on online nowadays, and in a lot of cases, rightly so, because there is a lot of, I guess, dodgy dealings out there.
So just moving on away from that, just if we're looking at our own websites and we want to do the SEO ourselves in the back end, or at least make an attempt, because there's just so many things to pay for that I think a lot of us try and do as much as we can ourselves before reaching out for more professional help. But if we talk about filling out those, I don't know what the professional term is, but the SEO boxes, when, for instance, when you upload an image, alt text, captions, titles, can you give us some tips about best practice?
Yeah, that's pretty much why I'm here. So yeah, especially with images, images are very good and they're very relevant to SEO as well. So a lot of people will try and fill the page with text. Text will only take you so far, and in fact, if you take a step back and look at your text, if it reads as if it's been written for a robot such as Google, then that's how people are going to read it. They're not going to engage with it. It's not going to read very well. It does need to be designed and put together for your users or your customers and clients. If you set out from the forefront and design it for a search engine, that will very quickly get picked up and you won't fare very well. Images are a great way. So Google's very good these days at actually identifying the content of an image. It knows if it's a beach ball, it knows if there's an umbrella, it knows if there's a sky, or if it's a landscape. You can identify all these areas of a photo or an image, and it's really good at that. So context is quite key. So the context of the photo or what the image is actually showing needs to be relevant to the content of the page. And you can do that in a number of ways. It's really important that you don't just copy an image and upload it to your website. Download it, rename it, or if you're downloading it from your camera, don't leave the little random characters which it applies, and just upload it in that way.
So change the title of the picture first thing.
Change the name of the picture on the file name so it represents what either it is or the content of the page.
So what it represents.
What it represents,
okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's the first. So after you've uploaded the image, you need to look at the alt text and the title text. Now, a lot of people will use the same for both. And in some cases that's okay, and you can't always differentiate between the two. But it's important to understand why they're there. So alt text traditionally was used by browsers to display a piece of text or a line of text if the browser was unable to show an image. And that's still how it's kind of used today. So in the event that an image is not able to be shown, connectivity, the link to the picture may be broken, the server may be down, whatever the reason may be, at least that descriptive piece of text in the back end would describe the image so the user knows that there should have been something there. And that's still how it's used today. But you do need to tailor and I guess create an alt tag which is relevant to your content as well as the image. So that connection has to be made between the two. The title text, which is relatively new in comparison to an alt text. If you've ever hovered over an image online and you've seen a little tooltip come up, that's usually derived from the title text for most of the major browsers. It's also used by screen readers. So someone who's visually impaired, as they're kind of cycling through the different areas, the screen reader will pick up on the title text and read it back to the user. So it's really important you get those right, especially if you cater for that type of demographic.
Absolutely. And do Google punish you if you don't put that information in?
No, you don't get punished, but someone who is using it better will get ranked higher. So it's not necessarily a penalty, but the more factors, the more checkboxes you're actually able to check for Google, the more likely you are to appear higher.
To get pushed up that page.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what about captions?
Captions are more for the page itself. So it's usually what appears under the image or around the image on the actual page of a website. Again, it needs to be content rich, it needs to be relevant. So the one thing I would say to refrain from is by using the same keywords over and over and over again. It's called keyword stuffing.
Yeah.
Google picked up on that years and years ago. And if you're still doing that, you don't expect to get ranked very highly because
you definitely get penalised for that because they're really anti. They're really anti that. So when you look at that SEO page and you're filling out the meta, what's the box called? Meta tags. Meta tag. And then the keywords, and you don't want to go over the percentage of keywords. What would you say is the one most important thing? If you could only choose one thing to fill out.
Okay. Well, firstly, it's not that it's most important, but if there's a keywords field that you're able to fill in, don't fill it in. The keywords meta tag isn't used by Google anymore or the major search engines. It's only really used if you want to look at your competitors' keywords. So people who are still filling it in, if I check the source code of a particular website or page and they've filled in their keywords tag, I can see the type of keywords they're targeting. So from a research point of view, it's only really helping your competitors.
Are we going into negative SEO?
Not quite. No. This isn't negative SEO, but you are giving your competitors a bit of an insight into the keywords that you may be targeting or looking to rank for. It's not going to help you in any way in your Google rankings by filling in the keyword fields. The only two probably main or traditional fields which are still relevant are the title tags and your description. So again, traditionally, the title tag would either appear at the top of the page. It used to appear in the tab at the top as well, to tell you what the page is about. And Google also used to use it as the title in the search results. It still can, and it still does, but nowadays, if Google feels that maybe it's not as good as what it can come up on its own, it can replace it. So you do need to ensure that the title and descriptions that you do use are very relevant to the content and not just designed for SEO, because Google can just replace it in an instant, and all that work that you put into it will be lost. So it's something to bear in mind that it does have to be relevant. But I would say the description is probably always do both. Always make sure that you do fill in both.
Yeah.
But you've got a bit more opportunity with descriptions, especially now, as recently Google increased the amount of space that you're able to.
Do you mean where you write the captions? Do you mean is that
the characters?
Okay, I'm a bit lost.
So when you're typing in your description into your description meta field. In the back end of a website.
Oh, I see, for each individual page. Sorry, because I keep thinking about our jobs board and blogs, because the keywords are quite, that's different to just kind of optimizing all the pages for a specific, because we could go into tricky waters, let's say jobs board, and it says to you, you've used this keyword before, but in the title, there's only so many jobs. Yeah. So what do you do in that regard when it's just a keyword that is relevant all the time, but it is the same keyword? Yeah.
You have to use other areas. So it's not just about the title or the description. You also need the content to support what you're trying to achieve as well. So don't forget, your title and your description is the initial kind of window you have. It's your advertising window for users to decide which link they're going to click on.
Yes.
In a search engine. So if all you're doing is copying someone else's, you're not going to differentiate yourself in the search engines or the results. So try and be a bit more creative. Try and maybe ask a question or answer a question for using the title, but don't just copy what everyone else is doing, because when you search in Google and you see that page of search results, they all look the same. But if yours was just slightly different, then you're going to catch the eye of the browser or the person browsing through that particular page, and you're going to increase the likelihood of getting that click. That click is vital for the rest of the journey. Unless you get that click, you're not going to be able to sell or promote yourself in the way that you had hoped for. Now, the click-through rate is really important. So this is something that there's a free tool out there. It used to be called Webmaster Tools by Google. It's now called Search Console. It's free to use, and there's this really short authorization, really quick and easy authorization process to go through to verify your website with Google. It gives you a wealth of information. And one of the areas it does give you a bit more information on is click-through rate. So it tells you how many times you've appeared for a certain type of search and what the click-through rate was for that particular result, and for those key terms as well. So if it's high competition and low click-through, you need to look at why that is. And usually differentiating your title and description from your competitors goes a long way to increasing your click-through rate. And that's without changing your position.
It really helps guide you.
It does.
Yeah, so this is searchconsole.com, isn't it? Because it was Webmaster.
It used to be Webmaster Tools until about 2 years ago.
I like Webmaster. It's like it's in control.
Yeah.
So I like the term. I don't know. It's silly, isn't it?
I think it does a lot more now. That's why they changed the name. They probably used to. But if you don't have it, it's a free tool. If you want to, I'll probably add it into the comments later on once I'm able to. But it's absolutely free. Verify your website with Google Search Console, and it gives you so much information.
Yeah. So in terms of the services that you offer, it's SEO, obviously, and getting people on track. I mean, so people can come to you. You can just appraise their website, excuse me, because Sertan is our SEO expert. So any members of the directory are entitled to a 30-minute free consultation and website appraisal. And he can tell you quite a lot in 30 minutes because we've just learned a lot in the last 30 minutes.
Yeah, and I can run reports on your website. So I use two different approaches. One is a system-generated report, which will just look at a lot of the usual kind of stuff that you would expect. The other side of the report is more kind of off-site, so it actually needs a bit of interpretation and context. So I look at the type of backlinks you have to your website, I look at the type of content you have, we look at the copywriting on the website as well, we look at the overall user experience of that, and that's not something a system can tell you.
No.
It does help a lot.
A human eye.
It does. You do need context, and you need to interpret it in the right way. A system can't tell you whether a particular keyword is actually good or not. So there's actually something called LSI, or latent semantic indexing, for the more technical minded out there. And it's the way a lot of systems connect different keywords to each other. So if you think about it can be a fruit, it can be the manufacturer, the electronics firm. But the word is the same. So it's a way of understanding what you mean, and it does that by looking at the rest of the content on your page. So making sure that you're not just using the same term and keyword stuffing is really important, but using related terms is quite key for the systems like Google, because essentially at the end of the day it's a system. It needs to understand the relationship between your content and what you're trying to get across to maybe potential clients and customers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so, well, any members of the directory that haven't had their free appraisal, please contact Sertan.
Oh, I'm happy to.
And you also do, you're an expert in pay-per-click?
Yes, so we do a lot of pay-per-click. So I'm actually one of the first 5 Google partners in the UK. I was fortunate enough to win a competition back in 2013, if I remember right. And Google flew us out to the US. We were on Google campus for about 2 weeks. And we actually had the opportunity to help shape the Google Partner Program in the UK at the time. So I was at it was only because I won a search competition online for a major bank that I worked with, and what we were able to do in terms of performance for them, that they actually did that. But I've been a Google Partner ever since. And it's quite important to understand how the Google platforms work. I mean, Google AdWords especially, it's a bit of a black hole. So unless you really understand how to put things together and design those campaigns, you can constantly throw vital budget into a black hole, not really getting a lot back. So it's the difference between getting lots of clicks but no business, for example. So maybe the terms are not quite right. Maybe the landing page experience hasn't been optimized in the right way to generate those leads that you need to, or it could be the shopping experience on an e-commerce site. It really depends. If it's local search, then there's other parameters and other indicators we need to consider as well. So it's really important that we get that you have someone who understands the systems to actually ensure that you're not wasting money.
Yeah, because I mean, it all adds up, and it's all very expensive.
It is very, very expensive, especially if it's not working.
excuse me, frog in my throat. It's just, if you think about, well, there's the SEO, and then you think about the Facebook ads, and maybe LinkedIn Premium and business on Instagram, and you can just go on and on and on and not get any return or see any return because you don't have an expert kind of project managing.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I think we do. So depending on the goals and objectives of a business and what they're looking to achieve, we can help design or tailor make campaigns around using SEO and PPC and other platforms as well to help achieve that. So, budgets are not infinite. Every business, no matter how big you are, will have a strict budget you need to adhere to. And it's about using that in the best possible way. You don't want to spread yourself too thinly across all platforms and not get locked back. You want to concentrate on the platforms that are going to give you results. And then you can look at branching out if you need to. So I tend to help businesses, whether I'm running the campaigns for them or not. So a lot of the times I'm there as more an advisory capacity. So as a consultant, and I'm telling them, making sense out of maybe stats, metrics, and reports, or giving a bit of guidance on how maybe they need to shape their own SEO activity, or PPC or Google Ads or whatever it is they're doing. So that's probably more for my larger clients. But for smaller clients, where I do run it as well, then I will always walk them through and have that discussion first, so they're fully aware of what we're actually trying to do and achieve. And I do like having regular catch-ups or as often as possible. It's not always possible to schedule everything in, but it's always nice to kind of get together and just have a discussion on what's working, in some cases what's not working as well, and just look at how you can better shape it for the future to just maximize your returns on what you're actually trying to do.
And one quick fire question and quick fire answer. Which is your favorite social media platform?
Oh, okay.
Just one.
I think I've been using Instagram more recently than Facebook, and I find I'm probably enjoying Instagram more as a user than the other platforms. I think Facebook is getting so much noise now. There's just so much there. It's getting a lot more difficult to kind of, one, find what you actually are interested in, and two, just kind of filter out what you're not interested in as well. So it's
yeah, I mean, it is a bit of a job in itself.
It is, yeah.
Turning off some notifications and with all the data breaching and hacking at the moment,
there's a lot of that going on.
Yeah.
But Instagram, definitely, it's a very visual medium, and I love just sitting there, maybe possibly in the evening, and just looking at who's doing what, and you can
it's
very
a lovely
quickly
platform, because generally, if you go through all the platforms, generally everyone is pretty supportive on Instagram. I mean, not necessarily if you're a celebrity, but just ordinary people. Whereas Twitter, you're much more likely to encounter trolls.
Yeah.
And Facebook just comments that jog on or scroll on by, whatever. So
yeah, there's obviously different types of people everywhere, but a bit more prevalent on maybe Facebook and Twitter, especially. I haven't quite maybe got the same numbers on Instagram, but in terms of a platform that I'm probably enjoying more as a user.
It's fun. It's a feel-good platform, isn't it?
Yeah.
Instagram, definitely. So do we have any questions? Where would my do we have comments here? Why can't I see them? Isn't that weird? Can you see them on
No.
That's weird. Oh, hang on. It would help if Bruce, how can you be sure your site needs SEO work when we all get so many rubbish emails telling us our site needs work? Yeah, but they're just, I mean, obviously I'm going to let you answer, but when I get those, they're all from the same people far, far away saying, with exactly the same message, Bruce. So generally I just put them in your junk folder or delete them.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I do SEO and I still get probably 17, 20 emails at least a day from companies looking to do my own SEO. But it's about whether you feel you're getting value out of your search traffic. So if you know you're getting traffic to your website, but maybe your phone is not ringing as much as it maybe could, or if the email inquiries which are coming through are either spammy, as you pointed out, or not from genuine customers, then there's probably an SEO issue there. I mean, like I said at the beginning, it's not just about ranking high for a particular term, it's about the experience that you're able to provide to your potential clients and customers. So if they're not getting the right experience, they're not going to be engaging with you, they're not going to be buying from you, then you need to probably look at whether you're doing the right type of SEO.
Okay. Thank you. We don't seem to have any more questions. So I'm going to say thank you very much, Sertan.
Pleasure.
We'll see you again.
Definitely.
Maybe we'll have we'll pick a particular SEO or go into detail on one more kind of part of SEO. But that was a really good general tips session. Really appreciate your time.
Okay,
So thank you very much.
More of a deep dive at a later date. But thank you for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Okay, see you all soon. Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.